We'll take a look at law enforcement with Cape May County Prosecutor Robert Taylor next on the Cape May County Report. Welcome to the Cape May County Report. I'm Lenora Boninfante, Cape May County Communications Director, and today I'll be talking with Cape May County Prosecutor Robert Taylor. Thank you for joining me, Prosecutor.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Prosecutor, you are the Chief Law Enforcement Officer in Cape May County. You've been Prosecutor for 9 years in Cape May County. Tell us what the role is of the Prosecutor in each county.
Well, basically by statute, the Prosecutor is supposed to detect crime, investigate crime, and prosecute crime that occurs in Cape May County.
Now, how is your office divided? Because you have so many different areas that you focus on in terms of law enforcement in Cape May County.
Well, we have the legal side of the office, which is composed of the attorneys, the agents, and the people that prosecute crimes in the courthouse. We have the investigative side of the office, where we have the detectives, agents, and support personnel who investigate the various different crimes. And then we have support services like the lab, victim witness unit, and other units that support the prosecutor's office.
Now, when you take a look at the legal unit in Cape May County, how many cases do you review each year?
Probably around 2,100 cases a year we review. About 1,000 of them we send to the grand jury, and then we indict those persons at the grand jury. Some of the cases we directly charge. Some of the cases we send back. Approximately 400 or 500 a year we send back to the municipal courts to be handled as a disorderly person's offense rather than a crime. And some of them go through like pretrial intervention and or just dismissed.
Now, for a small county, Cape May County, year-round population of some 96,000, when you take a look at 1,000 cases that actually go to trial, but you have to review 2,100, how does that measure up with other counties?
Well, our workload's pretty high, even though there's 96,000 people in February, and you have a good weather weekend in July or August. You have close to 1 million people in Cape May County, and you have all the attendant crime and law enforcement type issues that come with that large influx of visitors and tourists.
Now, you talked about the different divisions, and there's economic crimes, and you deal with Megan's Law, so many different diverse things. Let's talk about some of those areas with economic crimes. What are some of the things that you have to deal with?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people try and use fraud and scams on our senior citizens. We have a high percentage of senior citizens in Cape May County, and there's just people that come down, sell them bill of goods, get a contract with them. Frequently it's not written. Get a big deposit from the senior citizens, say several $1,000s, and never show up.
So you protect our seniors by doing that. You deal with all different types of crimes in Cape May County. From the legal division and the crimes that take place in Cape May County, you're also concerned about the victims. Tell us some of the programs that you have in place for victims.
Well, we have a victim witness unit. It's composed of 5 people, a coordinator. It's grant funded mostly. The county pays for part of it, but mostly grant funded. And what they do is they reach out to the victims of crime. We handle approximately 1,500 victims a year, and they help the victims go all the way through the process. The court process is very hard for people that are lay people to get used to. The number of appearances just having to show up before it even gets to trial. So it's a very difficult process. They also help them if they're in need of social services, things of that nature, counseling. So they're very helpful. They take victims of domestic violence. We have an advocate that helps victims of domestic violence in municipal court. They'll actually go with them, sit with them, give them a helping hand, tell them what to do, what not to do in terms of protecting themselves. So it's a very important program, and it's a very worthwhile program. You don't hear much about it, but they're really the people that are behind the scenes helping the victims of crime.
Well, for the victims, and especially with in sexual assault cases and different things, the crime is not the end, but maybe the beginning of the cycle, and to have to go through a trial and everything else, that they need support.
Exactly. Now, sexual assault is a whole different category of crime. We have a special victim unit that handles that, and those folks, we have what's called a SANE SART unit in our office. SANE, SANE, which is sexual assault nurse examiner, and the SART is SART, and that's a sexual assault response team. So every activation of a sexual assault, whether it be on an adult or a child, that unit gets involved. The nurse goes out and examines the person forensically. A person from CARA, the Coalition of Rape and Abuse, goes out there, a law enforcement officer. So we have nurses and people that are there that are very sensitive to this very traumatic event. And they do it in a very sensitive fashion, and Cape Regional has been very supportive of us in the county for having an area to do those kind of exams.
Now, again, you don't hear much about this. This is a side of the prosecutor's office. You hear about you taking people to court and trying criminals, but you don't hear about the other side with the services that you provide, for the victims and helping with education throughout the county. Now, with the victims, why is this important that you have this piece to care for the victims after crime?
Well, they're the ones who have suffered. It's the state of New Jersey versus whoever the defendant is, but the victim is the person who suffered the trauma. And on sexual assault, that's such a horrendous crime and such a personal crime that the services that we can give to the victims are very necessary. Many times they need counseling, many times they need support just to get through the process, and to actually go through the trial process and reenact or tell this story again in front of a jury, in front of lawyers and spectators. It's a very hard process. So these professionals help them get through that process.
And when you talked about professionals, during the past 9 years that you've been prosecutor in Cape May County, you've looked at your office and you've looked at all of the aspects of it and made it as professional as it can be. And one of the ways that you went about doing that is in 2012 you sought accreditation for the prosecutor's office, and you did get accreditation. You're only the second prosecutor's office to receive accreditation. Tell us about that process and what that means for your office in Cape May County.
Well, I'm very proud of that process. As you said, we're the only second prosecutor's office in the state of New Jersey that received it. The first one was Bergen County, which is much larger than our county. It's a very strenuous process where you're looked at, all your policies, all your SOPs, all your guidelines, all your internal operating mechanisms, how you investigate crimes. They look at all your various different units. And what it is, it's an outside agency that objectively looks at what you're doing, makes suggestions on things that you can make better, and tells you whether you're doing things right and if you're doing anything wrong. So it takes a long time to get that process finished. We're very proud of the results and being only the second in the state, and it's something that we're going to continue, and we're already starting. Every 3 years you have to be reaccredited, so we're already starting the reaccreditation process again, and they'll look at our cases, see how we handle them, see if our policies on various different issues are in step.
So it not only looks at the prosecutor's office from an internal view, but also from externally how you handle your cases and everything that you do as a prosecutor.
Yes, and a lot of our policies and guidelines come from the Attorney General themselves. So there's really not much discretion. We have to follow those, and we do.
Now, when you talked about policies coming down from the Attorney General, who you report to.
Yes.
From the county standpoint, you report to the Attorney General. And when those policies come down, you are the chief of all the chiefs of police in Cape May County. So how do you go about relaying the policies to them? Do you meet with the chiefs on a regular basis?
I do. We're a little different here in Cape May than some of the other counties. My chief of county detectives and myself meet with all the county chiefs of police once a month, and we discuss various different issues that are coming up, whether it be community outreach programs, the heroin epidemic, or anything else that's an issue. And when we formulate policies, we formulate them jointly between me as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer and the President of the County Chiefs of Police Association. So when we formulate that policy, there's almost immediate buy-in at the Chief of Police level for any new policies that are coming down.
So when you do it as a group, then there's no surprises, and no one's going to comment about it after that you come out unified to do it.
It's not always it's not always unanimous, and if need be, I say that this is the way it's going to be. But most of the time, it's done by a unanimous vote.
But also by meeting with the chiefs of police on a regular basis and communicating. This helps throughout the year with all the different programs that you do, where you interact with the local police.
Exactly, and I mean, and that's the way it should be, because they're in their towns. They know what's going on in their town better than I do, or better than my county detectives do. And just as an example, the regional SWAT team that we set up in 2006, that was a joint decision made between myself and the county chiefs when we started to look at what was going on in Cape May County. And there was a particular incident that caused us to look at and say the small teams that they were having in the towns just were not large enough to handle that particular task.
Well, you brought up a good point. Local police departments, they have so many police to work and deal with crime in their communities. When you look at a larger basis and some specialized units, the county SWAT team, tell us what role that plays.
Well, when we looked at this particular incident, it was a high-speed chase. A person was actually firing a weapon at police officers. We managed to get the person surrounded in Wildwood. It was over 4th of July weekend, so you can imagine the potential risk to pedestrians and things of that nature. It lasted for over 10 hours, and we only had a small SWAT team in 2 towns. And they were basically exhausted. It was 90-some degrees, so we really didn't have many people to come on board to relieve them on their post and whatever. So that's why we decided to set the regional SWAT team up. And that's composed of representatives from all 13 police departments, quite a few people from the prosecutor's office, and at various times we have close to 40 members of the SWAT team. And we also have a negotiation unit that works with them, and a tactical EMS unit, so in case someone gets injured, a victim or a hostage, tactical EMS people from Atlanticare actually are on the scene in case someone needs emergency assistance.
So now they're specially trained, this unit, but do they just come together in emergencies, or are they always in formation?
They train monthly, but they're called out in a group. There's 2 teams. We have what we call an island team and a mainland team. They're basically broken up even in terms of numbers, and they can be both called out at the same time. If it's an especially critical incident or a big incident, then the entire team could be called out, but they're called to the scene. It usually takes about an hour for them to get there. And we also have a rapid response team in the prosecutor's office that can respond more quickly than the SWAT team.
Now, what's the role of the rapid response team? When would that be brought in?
They're basically used to back up some of the smaller police departments for school security things, somewhat like Sandy Hook or any kind of hostage situation. Some of our smaller departments may only have a few police officers on duty at any given time. We have 10 people in the prosecutor's office. They're specially trained and equipped. They can respond. They're on call during daylight hours, which is mainly when school activities are going on. So they would be called out, and they could arrive on the scene probably within like 15 minutes.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about school security and other issues in Cape May County and law enforcement, so please stay with us.
How far would you go to feel young again? How far to capture the sun? To walk in the wild? To celebrate new traditions? How far would you go to just slow things down? Your journey begins at njsouthernshore.com, New Jersey's Southern Shore region.
How far would would you go to build a kingdom? How far to save a species? To shoot the rapids? To bolt at the speed of lightning? How far would you go to live in another century? To share new discoveries? To make the summer last forever? Your journey begins at njsouthernshore.com, New Jersey's Southern Shore region.
Welcome back to the Cape May County Report. I'm Lenora Boninfante, Cape May County Communications Director, and I've been talking with County Prosecutor Robert Taylor. Before the break, you were talking about the rapid response team and how it goes out and can respond to an incident at a school or any other place in a short amount of time. You focused a great deal since you've been prosecutor the past 9 years on schools and community, and addressed issues such as school security, juvenile bullying, cyberbullying, and a number of other safety and domestic issues. In light of the violence that we've seen at schools and recently, there's always something in the news, and in light of what happened at the horrific killings at Sandy Hook, when you take a look at school security, what have you done in Cape May County to make our children safer?
Well, starting in 2008, the county chiefs of police and myself decided that we needed to do something different than what's being done in a lot of communities. We teach every law enforcement officer in Cape May County in what they call the active shooter protocol. That means they're taught when they go to a school, God forbid, if there is such an event like that, it's not handled like it used to be handled in Columbine, where they sat outside the school and shooting was going on and children were being killed by these criminals or terrorists. They're now trained, the first officer to get there, if shooting's going on, they are instructed to go stop the shooting, not wait for backup or whatever, so it eliminates, hopefully, children from being killed or the number of casualties. So we train every officer, and it's been that way since 2008. A lot of places are just getting around to it after Sandy Hook. What we also did is we went to the schools and we showed a video to the teachers. It's called The First 20 Minutes, which tells them what's going to happen if a shooter comes to the school, an armed gunman, what they should do and how they should handle the situation. We have also gone to the various different schools and given them suggestions on how they can make the schools better protected, like hardening the front door, buzzing people into the school. They just can't come into the school. 5 years ago, they used to just walk in the front door of the school. No one would know they were there. We've also told them how to get certain equipment that'll help make the school safer. We've recommended every school that they have a panic alarm, somewhat like a bank, that they just hit the buzzer, it rings at the police station, and then the police department knows right away that it's a gunman at the school, rather than going through the process of a 911 call. A school secretary or principal trying to make a 911 call, it's a very traumatic event, maybe shooting's going on, and the message doesn't get through. This way it eliminates that. The other thing we have told the schools to do is get better locks for their doors. The doors have to be able to be locked to try and keep any gunman that gets inside the school, if they get inside, from getting into the classroom. So we've given them suggestions on equipment. We've shown the teachers what would happen. We've shown the teachers why they have to lock the doors, and once they lock the doors, they can't unlock the doors because it could be the gunman out there. In one example, one of the scenes, the children are hiding in the corner with the teacher, and there's someone knocking on the door, and the child's saying, "Teacher, it's George, I'm out in the hallway, please let me in, please let me in." And the protocol is you can't let him in because you have to protect the 20 or 25 kids in there. Finally, the children prevail upon the teacher to open the door. The teacher does the wrong thing, opens the door, she gets shot, George gets shot, and the gunman gets into the classroom. Now, we don't know that's what happened at Sandy Hook. Nobody knows for sure, but they're the kind of protocols we teach the teachers so they can be aware of what potentially could happen.
Now, it's important that you took this step and you worked with the school. So basically, they now have a plan. They put together a plan how communities have plans to react in an emergency. Well, now the schools have a plan to follow and extra safety measures in place. And I know I've sat on a school board for 20 years, and I tried to get in the building last month and said, Lenora's here. Who? So there's a whole new security and have to go through, and it's important to keep our children safe.
Sure.
So the prosecutor's office has played an important role in that.
Yeah, so we're going to roll out a new program. We just bounced it off. I went to the School Board Association meeting with school board members 2 weeks ago. We're going to roll out a new program that the chiefs have looked at. It's called the I Love You Guide. And it's basically a poster program where you post the poster right next to the light switch in the classroom. And if you're a substitute teacher, the conferences that I've gone to have shown any given day there might be 19% of the teachers are substitute teachers, and they're not as highly trained as the regular teacher. So with this poster, they look at the poster in 2 minutes, they know what they have to do on any given situation. And the reason it got that name is a girl was a captive at a school in Colorado, and the last message she sent to her parents by text was, I love you guys, and she got shot just before they got the gunmen. So, and the father has rolled this program out for free, and it's a very, very good program, and it's free to all the schools. So we're going to roll it out over the next few months.
One of the other issues that you've been very proactive on is the issue of bullying, and we hear so much about it now, and there's actually procedures in schools for bullying, but you started an annual conference about bullying and domestic violence. Tell us about your focus on bullying and some of the things that are being done.
Well, we started that in 2004. We had an annual conference. It's usually in the spring around March. And we have a committee. It's made up of the county superintendent of school, Cape Assist helps us out, Rutgers helps us out, our victim witness coordinator, and some educators help us out. And we bring in usually a nationally renowned expert on bullying, and the teachers, law enforcement, parents, everybody can come to it. It's free. We use forfeiture money to pay for it. The taxpayers don't pay for it. The money we seize from drug dealers, we use that to pay for the conference and the speakers. And it teaches the teachers different kinds of ideas on how to counteract bullying. I'm proud to say that one of the schools, Cape May Elementary, adopted the Green Dot program after we brought the Green Dot expert in for their school, and they're doing a great job at Cape May Elementary. And just last year, they got a recognition from the state Department of Education on how good their program is. And people used to say to me, well, why is a prosecutor involved in bullying? Well, the facts show that children that are identified as bullies, primarily boys in grade school, they go on to commit one crime, 40% of them, by age 24. Another high percentage of them go on to commit 2 or 3 crimes by age 24. The vast majority of them end up domestic violence abusers and child abusers. And what it does is, all the statistics and studies show, it starts the cycle over again. So if we can prevent bullying, we can prevent crime.
So the victim becomes the aggressor, so you're trying to stop that.
Well, not only that, I mean, a lot of times victims, they can be a victim of bullying and a bully themselves. So one of the things we're trying to emphasize now in the last couple of programs is what they call bystander intervention. 70% of the kids see the bullying go on. A lot of times they just don't do anything about it. So what we're asking them to do, 2 or 3 of them get together and say to the bully, hey, stop that, knock it off, cut it out. And usually there's strength in numbers. But the biggest issue that's come up recently is cyberbullying.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that. You know, before it would be, bullying, in person, so, somebody afraid, going to take your lunch money. But today, with all of the technology, all of the social media outlets, cyberbullying is, in many instances, much more painful. Tell us what you're doing to try to combat that. And you have a whole unit that deals with
Yes, we have 3 detectives primarily that do it. They're young detectives. They're very with it. They know all the terminology and lingo that the kids are using, so the kids can't pull much over their eyes. Somebody our age, we don't know exactly what they're talking about. But they go to the schools and they put on programs on cyberbullying, sexting, and also cyber safety, because there's a lot of perverts and people that would do children harm out there, getting into chat rooms and things like that. So they've been to virtually every school in the county at this point in time. What's new about cyberbullying that people need to realize is primarily for parents. The parents got to start watching and seeing what their children are doing. Mm-hmm. The instance in Florida that just happened a few weeks back, where a young girl was cyberbullied for almost a year and eventually committed suicide. The sheriff down there has arrested 2 girls that did that, and the primary aggressors in cyberbullying are girls. And the problem is, it's not old-fashioned bullying that may occur in the hallway for 30 seconds. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It gets posted, it gets sent on to other kids and whatever, and it's very, very pervasive.
We could go on about that. And it's so hard for parents too. Like, you also have a team that will come out and they talk about, what parents and what educators should do, how to check to see what your child is doing on a computer.
Yes.
Because it's important that the parents stay on top of it as well.
Exactly. We'll go to parents group, PTA, PTC, whatever kind of groups you might have, we'll send somebody out.
We don't have much time, but we have a lot of important issues, so I'll try to get a few of them in, especially one of the focuses this year, we've been talking about children. One of the focuses is on drug abuse and drug use starting younger, and the use of heroin in Cape May County. You've been gone out speaking against drug abuse and trying to control the problem in Cape May County. Tell us about the problem.
Well, heroin has become an epidemic in Cape May County. It's been growing for the last couple of years, and it's really gotten really bad in, I'd say, the last 12 months. So far this year, we've had 97 overdoses, and 24 of them have been fatal. The EMS units have been very successful in bringing a lot of them back. Otherwise, they would have been fatal if they didn't get attention. And what we're doing is trying to explain to parents, and we're going to go into the schools. We have to start, in my belief, it's the middle schools, because the drug dealers are approaching children in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They're not waiting to high school. The heroin in Cape May County is probably some of the highest heroin purity in the nation. In South Jersey, it's 63%. And it's so pure, kids can smoke it or snort it. They don't have to inject it like it used to be the old way to get a high. And what's happening, if they're a novice user, they can overdose or become addicted on one usage. So it's very important that the parents be aware of what their kids are doing. And frequently what happens, the kids get onto the heroin by going into mom and dad's medicine closet, grandmom's medicine closet. They maybe find Percocet pills that are left over from an operation. They get used or hooked on the opiates. If you go to a pill, try and get a pill from a street dealer, it's $30 a milligram. So if you're getting a $30 pill, it's pretty expensive. Well, after they run out of their allowance, use up their savings, steal from mom or dad, then the drug dealer comes up and sells them a bag of heroin for $20. So the kids are saving money, but they become addicted almost immediately.
Prosecutor, there's so much more we could talk about, and we're going to have you back to talk more, but we're out of time for this program. For more information on the county prosecutor and a conference that he has coming up in January, where they're going to take a look at drug abuse, visit the county prosecutor's website, cmcpros.net, cmcpro.net, or you could go through our website, capemaycounty.gov.net. Until next time, I'm Lenora Boninfante. See you on the Cape May County Report.